Now welcome to the show, Emily Thornberry, Labour's Shadow Attorney General for England and Wales. Emily, good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon. Nice to see you.
Hi, Emily. So listening to the exchanges in the House of Commons a little earlier on, there was Keir Starmer keen to present a something of a united front, but it was also equally clear, maybe clearer, that on the Labour side you felt the government had not gone far enough.
I think we have to start with how important it is that the West stays united. And it has been remarkable how much we have been united and how we have stuck together. And I think that what the Germans said today about Nord Stream is really important and was very brave and forthright of them. So we have all of that. And as the opposition, we have told the government that we stand behind what it is that they're doing. But we don't believe that they're doing enough. And we have never believed that they're doing enough when it comes to dirty Russian money. And now we don't think that they're doing enough when it comes to sanctions.
And
There's much more that they could be doing, and they simply haven't been.
and
For example,
yeah.
so one of the things that people in the public were saying, out in the street was like, what else could be done? So, for example, we've passed legislation about unexplained wealth. So how come you've got all this money? Why have you got this house in Knightsbridge? Apart from being a friend of Putin's, or let's say a member of his cabinet, how do you explain your wealth? And if you can't explain your wealth, then we should be able to seize those assets and keep them until someone is able to explain it.
Right.
Because there has been large scale theft from the Russian people by a kleptocracy around Putin. We should be using this. And now, when we're sanctioning, we should be sanctioning the oligarchs, not three of them. There are a large number of them, and many of them are friends of Putin's, and we should be sanctioning them now and essentially saying, this person is beyond the pale. We cannot, you will not be allowed to deal with him. So, his money cannot be, his assets are frozen. He cannot use his money from the bank. The properties that he owns in the UK cannot now no longer be sold. This sort of thing. So you absolutely freeze the assets of people who we know are close to Putin, and we need to be doing that. And the Prime Minister's response today, he talked about a barrage of sanctions. This wasn't really a barrage.
Right. Now, so you want to spread the net much more widely
Yes,
when it comes to the oligarchs in
and
this
be
country,
stronger about it.
and
Yeah.
stronger measures. And what about the families, the kids of the Russian billionaire oligarchs? I mean, some are saying they should be removed from the elite universities and top fee paying schools and take the penalty much closer to home. Would you agree with that?
I instinctively don't like the idea of using and manipulating children. I think there's plenty of work that can be done in relation to the adults and the adults' unexplained wealth and the adults who are close to Putin.
Yes.
I think that the political parties should be, I mean, the Tory party who have more than £2 million from Russian linked money, they should be handing that back, I believe, because
Yes.
I don't think that we should in any way have a democracy that could be seen to be tainted by this sort of dirty money.
Yeah. Now,
Um,
when it comes to those donations, those political donations, it's not legal in this country for a foreign citizen to contribute to a British political party, is it? So,
and yet there's legislation which is being passed at the moment, which is the elections bill, which will allow people from overseas to contribute to political parties. We really think that the government have to look at that. We have
mm,
been saying they must. We can't allow this sort of foreign influence
mm.
on political
And were you
parties.
referring to the bill that would make the Electoral Commission subject to policy set by government? You think weaken those defences?
It also allows people from overseas to vote, and it allows them to contribute to political parties. And we're very concerned about that. We think that should be stopped, and we can't see why the government are even thinking about this as a possible way of improving our democracy. We think it's going backwards. Of
Yes.
course it is.
Yes. Tell me, Emily, is this crisis, this issue, in any way a test, a political test for Labour too on security and defence? Boris Johnson's reference there to the Labour Party he suggested in the House had changed. That was a reference, pretty clear reference back to the days of Jeremy Corbyn. There were groans on the Labour side when he said that. It was seen there as point scoring. But is it a test of Labour on security and defence?
I think that it is Labour's official policy on security and defence, particularly when I was responsible for it, when I was Shadow Foreign Secretary, was always very clear indeed. For example, one of the things which the government are talking about today is the Magnitsky sanctions. Actually, it was us, it was my team that introduced the Magnitsky sanctions and said we should have these powers in order to be able to sanction Russia. And it was in response to what was going on in Crimea. And then what happened was that after the Salisbury poisonings, the government then decided that perhaps our idea about Magnitsky sanctions were a good idea and then introduced them. And we don't really care so long as it is done and so long as they're then used. But as I say, these tools are there and available to the government, but the government needs to show willingness to actually use them. It can't just, you can't just say, I'm going to have a barrage of sanctions. You can't just pass Magnitsky sanction legislation. You have to then use it. It's hard work. You need to focus, you need to concentrate, you need to make sure that you're getting the right people. You need to make sure that resources are being put into looking at and, making sure that we're targeting exactly, really putting pressure on the most sensitive areas. And we could have an effect on this. We could really hurt Putin if we did the right thing right now.
Okay.
But, you read from the Americans, and the Americans say, don't they, that even if sanctions are introduced at this late stage, the fact of the matter is that so much of Putin's wealth is already in Knightsbridge, and the horse has kind of ambled out of the stable. But I don't think that it's all lost. I think that there is more that can be done. I think that if we're imaginative, if we think laterally, and if we think hard about this, we could really make a difference. And I think that we should. I think we owe it to our Western partners with whom we need to continue to act in lockstep.
Okay, Emily, thank you. Emily Thornberry, the Shadow Attorney General with Labour's perspective on the crisis now.